Hi, good morning everyone. This is day 27 of the Richmond Public Library's 100 Days RVA Reads campaign, which is a program that promotes the Great American Read by PBS WCVE. Now, my name is Jackson Miller and I'm here at the Front Porch Cafe on 9 Mile Road in Richmond, Virginia. I was going to be joined by Madame Lydie Alapini Sakunu. She's actually the president of an organization called Virginia Friends of Mali, who manages alongside the Sister Cities Commission, Richmond's sister city relationship with the city of Ségou in Mali in West Africa. However, Madame, she is taking some well-deserved time off, vacationing with her family. So Madame, we give you our best. Now, the book that I've chosen today hits quite close to home for me, and that is The Little Prince by Mr. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I actually read this book for the first time in French class out in Chesterfield County. And really, the story itself is about the relationship, it's about the friendship between a pilot whose plane crashes in the middle of the Sahara Desert. And as he's figuring out what to do and really how to survive and get out of there, he encounters a little boy who turns out that the little boy is actually not from Earth at all, he's from a distant planet. And he tenderly calls this little boy the Little Prince, and it's about their friendship. But it turns out as the Little Prince recounts his journey from his home planet to planet Earth, what really comes to light through this story, through this journey, is really the dangers of not stepping beyond ourselves and stepping beyond our own perspectives and our biases when we try to understand the world around us. And it turns out, as the Little Prince was telling his story about how he actually got to Earth, the pilot actually realized that him and his colleagues have known where the Little Prince came from all along. He didn't necessarily come from a distant planet. And so I'm going to read you an excerpt from that discovery. So this is from the pilot himself. He writes, or he says, "Now I have serious reasons to believe that the planet the Little Prince came from is Asteroid B612. Now this asteroid has been sighted only once by telescope in 1909 by a Turkish astronomer who made a formal declaration at an international congress. But no one believed him on account of the way he was dressed. Grown-ups are like that. Now, fortunately for the planet, 11 years later, he was forced to wear European clothes. So in 1920, he made the same declaration to the same Congress, and he was wearing an elegant suit, and everyone believed him. Grown-ups are funny like that. Now, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, the Nigerian author of works such as Americana, which is also featured in this campaign, 100 Days RVA Reads in September, so please keep watching for that reading. She calls this kind of encounter the danger of a single story, right? And so in this particular instance, for the Europeans and the astronomers, the danger of their single story is that someone who didn't dress like them, someone who didn't look like them, they weren't capable of making such discoveries. And it really makes you wonder, even though this book is fantasy, how many stories and how much perspective we've lost throughout the course of history because we didn't actually step outside of ourselves. And that particular scene with the Turkish astronomer hits close to home for me personally as a Richmond native. So years later, this scene flashed into my mind when I was reading another book. So I'm going to do something a bit different. I'm going to pair The Little Prince with another book that's close to my heart, and that is Thomas Jefferson's Koran by Dr. Denise Spellberg in University of Texas. And this book essentially walks us through Jefferson's journey in terms of the way he was thinking about how we should govern religious freedom in this country at the time of when he was drafting the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom, and he was advising the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. And just like in The Little Prince, Turks, or the Turk, featured prominently in Jefferson's mind. he would constantly ask questions like, if Turks came over across the Atlantic, should they be allowed to practice their religion? Should they be allowed to practice Islam? Could a Muslim be president? Or should they all be banned? Sounds familiar, right? And so for Jefferson's single story, the danger of this story is it dismissed the possibility that Jefferson actually knew many Muslims already, actually descendants from the first people who practiced Islamic faith to arrive to US shores before this country was even an idea. And those perspectives likely lied in the African communities on his property in which his family had enslaved, right? But that single story dismissed the possibility that these kinds of nuances or perspectives and insight were present. Imagine what these conversations would look like today had those conversations taken place that honored the cultural diversity that's always been here at Richmonder and in Virginians' identity, right? Fortunately, it doesn't always have to be this way, because we're approaching a watershed moment next year in 2019. So as many of you know, 2019 marks 400 years since the arrival of the first enslaved Africans on record to Jamestown, Virginia, a few miles down the James River. Now for Richmond, since we can actually pinpoint from where on the African continent, tangible places and spaces where this region's first Africans came after the city's founding, 2019 offers us a once-in-a-lifetime chance to not only illuminate Richmond's global ties across the Atlantic, but to also honor the work of the descendant community as well as Richmond's African diaspora that has laid the foundation for this work to be possible today. And the work that I refer to is a new initiative called Richmond Revealed. So Richmond Revealed, it's a project of, for, and by those who call Richmond home. And we seek to raise awareness and illuminate Richmond's ties across the Atlantic, but also use this information and community engagement to create new opportunities for growth and wealth creation that look like the diversity that, again, has always been at the foundation of Richmond's identity. Now, as a Richmond native myself, I am so excited about what this moment means for our city. And if you're excited or simply interested in learning more, then we invite you to join us at the Richmond Public Library on Saturday, August 25th at 3:30 p.m., where we'll map out the way forward and over some afternoon tea, coffee, and goodies. If you like what you read, all 100 books as part of this campaign, is available at the Richmond Public Library. If you're interested in becoming a reader, or if you're interested in figuring out or stopping by the next reading, feel free to check out the website. So that's rvalibrary.org/100 days. And there's also a Facebook and YouTube channel as well that everyone's more than welcome to subscribe to. So Richmond Public Libraries, thank you so much for this campaign, and thank you so much for the opportunity for me to share a story that revealed fantastical worlds back in high school French class, but in doing so ultimately led to illuminating so many other perspectives that have been right here in Richmond all along. So Richmond, let's read.